Shalom, V'hamidei Malkeinu L'chaim, U'shmot Tzeiteinu Sukat Shlomecha, Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hapoves Sukat Shalom, Aleinu ve'al Olamo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim, Amen. Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hapoves Sukat Shalom, Aleinu ve'al Olamo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al Yerushalayim, Amen. We proclaim this day to be Shabbat with the words of Vishamru on page 33. Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat lahasot et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
You all sound really good tonight. The Hashkivenu, I mean, Alan and Ben and Mariano sound amazing, and Cantor Kenny sounds amazing, but all of you sound really beautiful. Vishamru and Hashkivenu, it's wonderful. On the bottom of page 33, the last words on 33, let's read that paragraph together. Sound the shofar on the new moon at the time appointed for our new year. Its observance is a law for Israel, ordained by the God of Jacob.
תקעו בחודש שופר בכסת ליום חגנו,
כי חוק לישראל הוא, כי חוק לישראל הוא, כי חוק לישראל הוא, משפט לאלוהי יעקב.
Page 34, Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה יאמר דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייך וביומך ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בהגלה בזמן כהרים ואמרו אמן. יש מרבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי יומיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתברך ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה ולעילה מכל בחטא ושירתה ושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ויהלמה ואמרו amen.
Those who are able, please rise. Begin on page 36 is the first Amidah of Rosh Hashanah. As Bonnie pointed out for us, there are words in this book that you can read in the Hebrew or English, or maybe you brought your own words in your heart, in your soul. When you're finished reading, when you're finished davening, you may once again be seated.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי May the word of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock, O Lord, my rock, and my
Page 44, the top of the page, Ve'al Kulam.
ועל כולם יתברך יתברך ויתרומם שמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד ועל כולם יתברך ויתרומם יתברך ויתרומם עמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד וכל החיים יודוך סלע והללו את שמך באמת האל ישועתנו ועזרתנו סלע ועל כולם יתברך ויתרומם יתברך ויתרומם שמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני הטוב שמך ולך נאה להוד page 44, B'Sefer Chaim. B'Sefer Chaim beracha v'shalom ufarnasa tova nizacher v'nikateh lefanecha אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה ייזכר וניקטה לפניך אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום Baruch atah Adonai Oseh HaShalom
We'll say a Misha Berach, a prayer of healing. I've been feeling it in our community a lot lately that we need to say a prayer of healing. There are so many people who could use healing of body and healing of soul. So we pray that the strength of those who take care of us and our loved ones stays focused. We'll sing half of it, and then we'll take a break, and I'll read the names that are on my sheet. And if you have names there, you can whisper them out, and then we'll continue with the second half.
Mi sheberach avoteinu mikor habracha Le'imoteinu, may the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
Menucha bat Necha, Shlomo ben Rivka, Rivka bat Sarah, Yonatan Reuven ben Rivka, Lazer ben Chava, Yaakov ben Moshe, Yehudit Bluma bat Sarah, Lavi Aryeh ben Chana, Rivka bat Sarah, Harav Chaim Yaakov ben Pesha, Chava Fredel bat Meira Noga, Naphtali ben Devora, Shendel Pesha bat Razel, Pizza Razel bat Sipa, Eleanor bat Esther, Rachel bat Chava, Naomi bat Tova, Ilan ben Rachel, Meir ben Fega, Yitzchak Shmuel ben Alice, Meir Yaakov bat Gitabraina, Shoshana bat Yehudit bat Sarah, Elia ben Mordechai, Yosef ben Devora, Sipora bat Leah, Moshe ben Yehudit, Razel bat Leah, Asha Bela bat Hesatessa, Danya bat Rivka, Herschel ben Esther, Gavriel Irit bat Leah, Fredel Leah bat Esther Gittel, Sarah Dora bat Rivka, David ben Leah, Elisheva bat Shoshana, Gavriela bat Sarah, Gavriel Lev ben Yechiela, Yesharon, Michal Lirit bat Surachana, Rabbi Ilana Grinblatt, Greg Watson, Mel Rigdon, David Gould, Judy Luko, Andrew Jennings, Asa Luo, Samuel Garcia, Colton James Pachenik, Al Sanderson, Shirley Rutkovitz, John Ogle, Ron Kadish, Diana Baffabril, Carl Weiss, Gary Engler, Jeff Lewis, Barry Perkin, Katrinka Schiffman, Jackie Raymond, Andy Raymond, Stephen Ross, Carolyn Bordowski, Miriam Garfield, Sally Mark, and Eileen Malice.
Mikor habracha le'avoteinu, bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. and let us say, Amen.
Amen. Page 50, Kaddish Shalem.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ויעמד בברך ירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלו בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן שמי רבה מברך לעולם עולמי עלמיה יתברך 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 וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודש אלא לאלא מכל ברכתה ושירתה ושפחתה ונחמתה דמירן ביעלמה ושפחתה ונחמתה דמירן ביעלמה ואמרו אמן תתקבל צלותון ובותון דכל ישראל קדם אבוהון דבשמיא 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 אמרו יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיא בחיים בחיים עלינו עלינו ועל כל ישראל עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו עלינו ועל כל ישראל אמרו אמן אמן
Amen. Rebecca remembers exactly when she learned the astonishing truth. She was in the second grade and ran to say hi to her best friend Rachel at school one day. Rachel pulled her aside and said, Rebecca, last night I lost a tooth. And I woke up while the tooth fairy was putting the money under my pillow. You'll never guess who the tooth fairy was. 7-year-old Rebecca was beyond excited and asked who it was, and Rachel said, my dad's the tooth fairy. Rebecca ran home after school and told her mom, I know who the tooth fairy is, declaring it as if she had finally grown up. And her mom said, oh, well, who is this tooth fairy? And she looked her mom square in the eye and said, Rachel's dad is the tooth fairy. Ron Loberfeld is the tooth fairy. Her mom went along with it and said, I can't believe you know. It's totally secret. You can't tell anyone else, but you're right. Our friend Ron Loberfeld is the tooth fairy, and he works really hard. And from that day on, Ron Loberfeld was the tooth fairy. And all of Rebecca's notes under her pillow were signed Ron Loberfeld. Ron Loberfeld was actually a CPA. But Rebecca now pictured him driving his Volvo around town, sneaking into houses collecting teeth. An incredible side hustle and a very demanding mission. Rebecca became jealous of Rachel for her celebrity dad. Rebecca's dad just came home from work and that was it, but Rachel's dad then had this cool night job. She was in awe to know the tooth fairy in person, to have sleepovers at the tooth fairy's house, and to have the tooth fairy coach their soccer team. At a certain point, Rebecca and Rachel realized the error of their reasoning. The tooth fairy wasn't living in plain sight, pretending to be a CPA or rather the tooth fairy was living in plain sight. Yes, Ron Loberfeld was the tooth fairy, just as Rebecca's mom. I'm so sorry if I'm ruining this for anybody right now. I thought it was past bedtimes. Marissa and Naomi, I'm so sorry if this ruins it for you. Isn't it strange that we keep up this charade? We are people of truth. We are people of integrity. My wife and I speak very honestly with our kids about all sorts of issues, death and war and how we understand the world. And when our 9-year-old asks if we are the tooth fairy, we obfuscate, we deflect, we joke. How could we go around to so many houses at night? And what will we do with all those teeth? All the while, does she know? Do we have to keep doing this for the next 2 kids? Will she perhaps ruin it for them, freeing us from this strange play? We have friends who take it to another level. They make scavenger hunts for their kids to find clues left by the tooth fairy. They get gold coins from the bank as if the tooth fairy prefers precious metals to crumpled dollar bills. There is even an app for your phone where you can take a video of your kid sleeping and it digitally adds in the fairy flying around the room so you can show it to your kid the next day. I know. Some of you use this. We are aggrandizing this lie. We can't just shrug and say, I don't know, honey. I don't know how the tooth was replaced by a dollar bill. Or just congratulate them at their next step in maturing without creating a fantasy world. We have to make up a bio and bring in technology to pretend that we're not lying. For the record, the fairy who comes to our house is named Harold. And when Harold can't make it, there's a substitute fairy named Belinda. We have yet to find out if Harold is zoned for our house for all of the children, or if he's only assigned to one child, while the next kid will be assigned another fairy from headquarters. You know that HR can be so specific in certain matters. And then there's Santa Claus. For those who don't know, I'm a rabbi. And I have to explain to my kids about Santa. Because if they know the truth, they might tell their friends at school and their parents that their parents are perpetuating a lie about capitalism in the name of religion and will ruin the holiday for them, which, by the way, they will find out soon enough anyways, be disappointed, and then probably sustain the same lie for the next generation. So we explain to our kids something that is not totally a lie. There really was a man named Nicholas, and his American nickname is Santa Claus. He is real, but the people we see at the mall, we don't go to the mall, but the people we see at the mall and in parades are just nice people dressed up as Nicholas so that all the Christian children can feel like they talked to the real Nicholas. So far, no major follow-up questions, and no angry parents calling us because our children dispelled a myth. And I know it's a stretch, but I think that's part of the reason that so many people these days, including Jews, turn away from God. I know that many people still have a relationship with God, or question God, or argue with God, or aren't sure where they stand on this whole God thing. I know some of you have shared your theologies with me. I know that many Jews do not believe in God, and when they're pressed for why, their answer is often science. They're saying, I'm an enlightened Jew. I have been taught that the universe is larger than our minds can fathom, and if I fly in an airplane 30,000 feet in the air, I don't see a man sitting in a throne in the heavenly skies. I know that the earth is more than 6,000 years old. What I really think they're saying is, I believed in 3 invisible realities when I was a child that my parents promised me were true until I peeked behind the curtain and found out that there was no tooth fairy and there was no Santa Claus, and therefore the third invisible deity in our American Trinity, the Lord our God, creator of the universe, must also be a fiction. My parents are the tooth fairy. My parents are Santa. Perhaps there is no God. I know that part of the reason we keep up this charade is because it's adorable. Because the look on our kids' faces when they talk about the magical unknown is just so precious. And if we can bring some joy and mystery to childhood, to this imperfect world, then it's perfectly wonderful. I'm not saying that we have to fire the tooth fairy. The other big hit that our religion has taken is that we conflate the fabulous stories of the Bible, of our holy Tanakh, with Disney and Grimm and Pixar. We read the Garden of Eden and Noah's Ark and Joseph's coat with the same lens as we read Goldilocks and Rumpelstiltskin. They are merely stories for kids told in front of campfires long ago when we had no hope for something more entertaining to keep us occupied. And around the same age, when we find out that all of this is a hoax, we realize that Snow White is merely a strange and dark kid's story, we lose all of these. The fictional characters and the far-flung stories vanish like vapor. That's precisely the age that we tell the kids that they have to start studying with a tutor to become a bat mitzvah. Perhaps this is why religion is often seen as something for the young. Maybe some adults are afraid of being indoctrinated by some religious nut who believes the talking serpent actually convinced Eve to eat a mind-blowing piece of fruit, and everyone lived 900 years, as if saying that the Torah stories are true is like saying Rapunzel is true. And I'm grateful that we have a community who still seeks to learn our sacred tradition, finding purpose in our stories. I'm grateful that we have dedicated parents who bring their kids to our preschool and religious school. Both are beyond capacity, vying for space to educate our kids. Just to give you a hint, we have never had a TK before in our religious school for 4 and 5-year-olds. Our religious school director, Joyce, said she would start a class if we can find 5 families to bring their little ones. But we didn't get 5. We got 20. We're one of the only religious schools in the area that have classes for teenagers after their B'nai Mitzvah. We have 50 in that program. So good for this community for believing and educating their kids in our holy tradition. Not to mention the feeling of 200 toddlers singing Bim Bam on Friday mornings in this sanctuary, chanting the blessings for Shabbat. I know that the over-the-top stories of the Bible are sometimes hard to swallow, but I love the question I heard Rabbi Sarah Brandis pose this year. Do you want your holiest text to merely be a factual report of what happened? Asking questions is so Jewish. Asking if we really wandered in the desert for 40 years, though, this is the point of the story. Archaeologists have been arguing whether or not it could have happened, and if it did, was it exactly where we have been picturing it? Or perhaps it was what's now the Saudi Arabia instead of the Sinai Peninsula. If instead of millions of people being on this journey with us, maybe we can reread the Hebrew to mean something slightly different. We're trying to rationalize the irrational details of the beautiful narrative. I often don't get caught up in that debate because I don't need our sacred texts to be factually accurate. I need them to teach me about life, about how I should be looking at the world. Tomorrow morning we'll be reading one of these stories. Was Abraham really 99 years old when he performed a little surgery on himself just before impregnating his 90-year-old wife? If I want to read this story as an adult, I have 3 options. I can laugh it off as Grimm Brothers fairy tale, fun for kids but fantastical for adults. Or I can understand it as literal, throwing out everything I know to be true based on science. Or I can understand it with a capital T truth, that this sacred text is teaching me through a parable. It is teaching me that Judaism believes strongly in the future generation, that God's promise with Abraham and Sarah was not to them alone, but to bring their holiness into the world. But mostly it's reminding me that the thrust of the Torah is God telling people merely to be a blessing, to walk through this complicated life as a blessing. And if we ever come across a story that we question, that our 21st century eyeballs find to be troubling, that our scientific minds find to be outrageous, then we can go back to the book's thesis, which is that our job is merely to be a blessing. Rereading these texts as adults takes patience. They have been ingrained as fairy tales for children, as improbable stories that can't hold water. Or perhaps we were taught to read them as literally true, but the truth lies in between. What is our tradition trying to teach us with each story? And then it's hard to figure out how we ever taught these stories to children. My kids have versions of Moby Dick and Jane Eyre and the Constitution at home. Granted, they're very abridged versions. But reading those versions of important writings would not suffice for an adult. So why are we allowing a child's version of the Torah to live in our brains as adults? Over these holidays, over this holiday season, allow a new version of our tradition, of our texts and our poetry to seep in. Read these stories and these words anew. Hear the melodies anew, because we are starting a new year. And after all you have been through in this past year, you're finally adult enough to find something new in the familiar, to understand this in a new way, to discover the truth of Judaism. And maybe you'll keep coming back for adult education, so that we can continue to understand our beautiful, beautiful religion, the way it was meant to be interpreted, by adults who have lived, who have known the world, who don't need to be coddled or lied to any longer. Maybe you want to come learn Hebrew, or prepare for an adult bat or bar mitzvah, to study Torah with me each week. We have ample opportunities to try to understand who we are. We're dealing with an infinite mystery by taking in this precious world with our finite hearts and minds. In a world of questions, there is comfort in knowing that we have a record of our ancestors seeking the same truths, asking the same questions. And maybe we'll stumble upon some truths together. I look forward to learning with you this year. Shana Tova, Shabbat Shalom. If you're able, please rise. We have a cup of grape juice or wine under here for the word wine, for the words of Kiddush, for the final part, page 56, the final parts of our service.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol romamanu mikol lashon v'kidshanu b'mitzvotav. V'titein lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'yahama et yom hashabat hazeh v'yom zikaron hazeh v'yom zichron teruah b'yava mikra kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim ki hivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kiddashta mikohamim udvarcha emet v'kayam lahad. Baruch atah Adonai melech kol haaretz mekadesh hashabat melech kol haaretz mekadesh hashabat mekadesh hashabat v'Yisrael v'yom hazikaron.
Put your arms around each other as we say the words of Shehecheyanu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu anu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Standing, we invite Randy and Mark Cohn to come up and open up the ark for us. Page 58, Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגר עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. חנות השמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים, ממעל ושכינת עוזו בגבי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אף וזולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשיבותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחתינו. יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, לה 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 לה, יא לה לה לה, יא לה לה לה, לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, לה 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 לה, לה 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 לה. אוקיי, נקווה. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
With your eyes closed, you may be seated. Achalt sha'alti me'et Adonai, ota avakesh, shivti bevet Adonai kol yamei chayai. One thing I ask of the Lord, for this do I yearn, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all of the days of my life, to feel the goodness of the Lord in God's sanctuary. There's a special psalm that we add this time of year. It reminds us that even though we feel abandoned sometimes, to make use of every day that we're here, to feel that we are comfortable here, surrounded by love here. We note the recent passings in our community of Bernard David Skibbon, Norma Rosen, Sandra Hellewell, Hardy Warren, and Brian Plum Barnett, Karen Knophoff. May their memories be blessings to those who knew them and loved them. In addition, we observed the yard sites this week of Saul Adler, Max Aval, Betty Chernow, Babe Dunair, Irving Garvin, Jason Hammer, Pauline Schechter, Annie Rebecca Dubinsky, David Novogrodsky, Ann Spurn, Lillian Marcus, Saul Smith, Danny Ehrman, Alex Abramson, Virginia Cook, Rose Goldstein, Evelyn Levin, Hattie Zeimer, Sarah Hilfer, Jerry Kay, Abe Kolke, Leo Nussenfeld, Edith Rouse, Stanley Kaminsky, Morton Margolis, Alice Math, Sender Orlin, Josephine R. Schwartz, Ted Zuckerman, Sam Charna, Mary Sloan, Rose Weiss, Gladys Ratson, Rebecca Slade, Rebecca Smith. May their memories be a blessing. If you're in a period of mourning for a loved one, if you're observing the yard site of a loved one, you're welcome to rise. Kaddish is on page 64. Feel free to join us in these sacred words. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divara kirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ma'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam olamei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudasha b'richu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shamaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'asei shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. My first major mistake of the year, now that we're in 5784, in the Kaddish, in all the Kaddishes that we have for the next little bit, Le'ela, Le'ela. It's said twice, and I forgot it this time. Hopefully by tomorrow morning. It's okay, I said it. You said, I heard you say it. That's when I realized, oh my gosh, I'm already making mistakes. I'm not here yet. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Cantor Kenny Ellis, Alan, Ben, and Mariano for bringing so much beautiful music into the room tonight. And to all of you, our choir, for singing tonight really nicely. There was one person that wasn't on key, though. I just want to, no, you were all, right, a few hands go up. You all did a beautiful job. Tomorrow morning, 9:30 in the morning, services begin. We do have a family service at 8:30 where I'll dispel other myths of childhood to the precious children. And so at 8:30, you can join us for the kids' service outside. 9:30 will be in here tomorrow and Sunday. The church is having a funeral tomorrow, right during our services. They had a loss in their community, and so they are going to be reserving a number of spots. So get here before 10:45, and you should be pretty safe with a parking spot. And you also get to hear Torah read if you get there here by then. So that's great. And then Sunday morning as well, we are here for services. There is no shofar blown on Shabbat when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbat. So there is no shofar tomorrow. I know. Come back Sunday and there's shofar. Also, you can join us at the beach for Tashlich on Sunday at 6:30. Come early and bring a little picnic and sit on the beach with us, or just be there for us for Tashlich and Havdalah and shofar out there on Sunday. And I'm grateful to Men's Club and Women of TEC for arranging to take over services on Shabbat next week. So if you'd like to participate in Shabbat, let me know, let Benny know, and we'll find you the right person to talk to. And other than that, you know what's happening with High Holidays. Thank you to Gideon and to our amazing staff who helped put this together today, and to Cheryl and Felicia and Marshall and Svi for greeting and welcoming people. Anything I'm forgetting? Steve Plotkin. Oh, he was greeting as well. Okay, Steve Plotkin, another board member of ours who was greeting this evening as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Shana Tova, Shabbat Shalom. We'll turn now to page 68 for Yigdal.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח נמצא בעיני אל מציאותו אחד ואין יחיד כייחודו לעולם וגם אינסוף ואחדותו אין לו דמות הגוף ואין לו גוף לא נערוך אליו קדושתו קדמה לכל דבר אשר נברא ראשון ואנושית לראשיתו הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר ירא גדולתו ומלכותו שפע נבואתו נתן האל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד נביא ומביט את אמונתו תורה אמת נתן לים אוהל על יד נביאו למען ביתו לא יחליף האל ולא ימיר דתו לעולמי וזולתו צפה ויודע סתרנו מביט לסוף דבר בהקדמתו גומל לאיש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לרשע רע כרשעתו. ישלח לקץ ימים משיחנו, לפקוד ומלכד ושיעתו. מביט יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עדי עד שם תהילתו.
O God, on the eve of the new year, we have come to your sanctuary to seek your presence and to hear your call. When our lives become shallow, deepen them. When our principles become shabby, repair them. When our ideals become tarnished, restore them. When our hopes become faded, revive them. When our loyalties grow dim, brighten them. When our values become confused, clarify them. When our purposes grow blurred, sharpen them. When our horizons become narrow, widen them. Make us worthy instruments of your will, O Lord, and help us in the year ahead to live the words we pray. Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova. Be kind to each other.
Shana Tova, 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 Tikatebu. Shana Tova, 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 Tikatebu. 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 Shana Tova, Shabbat Shalom.
Mariana, tomorrow I have a wedding at 4:30 in Temecula that Everything is perfect. It's a 2-hour and 20-minute drive. And we're ending at 1:30. I just want to make sure I can end at 1:30. I need to. Truthfully. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So beautiful, you guys. Wow.
Oh, hi.
Hi, I remember you from last year.
Alan.
Alan, oh, well, guys.
He's a star.
You guys, all three of you, I'm like, just like, this is the best place. I said to my girls, this is the best place because you can see the musicians. No, they're home now. They came home. Yeah.
It's like the place got a makeover.
Yeah, it did. They got it back together. They remodeled. Yeah.
Didn't come easy.
Yeah, yeah, right. So you just sight read this, or you know it already?
I suck.
So
But
wild.
the thing is, we played it last year, so now there's a little bit of a.
Yeah. Are you Jewish? Oh, okay. So you don't know any of this from your own history. Oh, he goes. Oh, I got it.
Don't mess with it.
Yeah.
Don't mess with it. I mean, all of them. One after another. All of them. Of course, we had a song. Friends were Jewish. Grocery store was Jewish. And then I go to sing.
Oh, that's everyone.
And that was maybe sort
Yeah.
of, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, yeah.
Mix of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But actually, and now I feel the most at home, like when I'm buying food. In Orange County, there's a place called New Harvest Market or whatever.
Yeah.
And everyone, there's Israel and
Oh, really?
and Jordan.
Ethnic market.
And